Hello.
Welcome to tonight's Vlogcast. Paul, Gladys, and Stevie make it a blast. Get comfortable, kick off your shoes. Our Vlogcast journey, we're here to amuse. Watch this week's our Vlogcast delight. Dive into discussions, photography insight. Welcome to tonight's Vlogcast. Welcome to tonight's Clickcast.
Hi guys, thanks again for tuning into Clipcast, another week of another photographer, and this photographer we know very well from YouTube, especially into woodland photography, nature and landscape. Of course, it's Tom Peters. Hi, good evening Tom, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Not too bad.
Evening, sorry.
Yeah, not too late though, not too late.
Right.
Yeah, doing well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, fine.
It's always surprises me when people want to talk to me.
Yeah, well, you know, we kind of scoured the earth for good photographers, and I happen to know quite a few. So yeah, just on the this one's podcast tonight slash vlogcast. We recently asked questions about pretty much where it started from, going back to the time when you started photography, and where the kind of the appetite came from for doing photography. Where did that come from?
Cool. So I'm what am I now? 35. So I've been doing photography only seriously. I say seriously, depends how you look at it. And I've been really into photography, cameras, videography since I was, like teenager.
Yeah.
I was always videoing stuff or videoing me surfing and things when I lived in Cornwall. It was how the sort of creative avenue really started was videoing myself surfing. And then it turned into videoing others, my friends surfing, and then there was a few professional surfers in Bude, and I started videoing them, and then I started taking stills of them. So that's how that started, really.
Yeah.
And like I said, I lived in Bude, so there's so many things to shoot. It's obviously seascapes, but the forests that sort of come afterwards. But the creative side of things, the video and photography, come kind of at the same time. I kind of fell into video first, I would say.
Okay.
And then I like the peace and quiet, and I like my own space. So the photography just sort of really suits my personality. Landscape photography. Not so much shooting weddings and things. That's not me. But yeah, that's how that started really, and then from there, the love of the sea sort of took over, and I used to go out for sunrise, sunset, taking images instead of going surfing. And then the video sort of comes hand in hand. Yeah. I think people think that I don't. I always get asked all the time. People say to me, "Oh, how do you struggle with the video? How does it affect you? Does it hold you back, or does it a bind?" And I've never seen it as a bind for me. Not that I find it easy, but it's just something that I enjoy. So when you enjoy something, it's not really a hardship. But yeah.
Nice. And of course, obviously when you're starting photography, and we do all have a sort of fascination about taking pictures of a certain genre or a certain thing. And obviously yours has been pretty much in the coast, as you mentioned there. And yeah, I mean, one of the things I'd like to ask you is where did your desire to photograph landscapes come from?
Back when I was, my old man's very active. He's one of these people that's he's never going to sit still. So we was always originally I lived in Swindon. My family are all Londoners, and they moved to Swindon like years and years ago. So we was always in Wales. We did Penny Fan millions of times. And then we was into sort of mountain biking, and really climbing mountains was sort of the thing that me and my dad used to do when we was younger. So not that I really appreciate it when you're young, do you? But like, I was always outdoorsy. I never liked being in. I was never in when I was a kid. I was always out doing stuff. So I've always liked looking at things that people don't always see. The mountains sort of offers that. You know, unless you put a bit of effort in and get up there, not everyone sees that. And that's kind of the reward that I used to get, and obviously the views. So yeah, that's where the love of it, I would say. I got my dad to thank for that one.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Definitely nice. And then the thing as well, of course, you know, when you do like have different, you know, especially with you're going hiking up these mountains and things and all different types of weathers. And I have seen, of course, when you guys, three of you guys, Matt Bishop and Paul Thomson, up the top of, it was in Italy. The name escaping me, but guys, if you Stevie and I was glad that you haven't seen the videos. It's like these guys are offering workshops in Italy and stunning views. And I think it's the what's the name of the Italian hill, the mountain? Sorry.
Gran Sasso.
Yeah. That's it. And just watching it, the video footage and everything's really good. It's like, you know, like it kind of reminds me of like sort of a backpacking sort of venture kind of thing when you're watching movies and things like that. But three guys just going out with their cameras and having fun and taking pictures and get sort of like third person view, etc. It's really quite good. Quite enjoyable.
Yeah, that's why I do try to make the videos. I don't want them to make them interesting, but at the same time, I do put a lot of effort into the
I do see that. Yeah, especially audio.
Yeah, trying different angles and making an effort. We all know walking miles and coming back and then going. I do try because I enjoy doing it and I usually get a better result. I always kick myself if I'm having a lazy shoot and I don't. I know I'm not taking enough, or I think, oh, that'd be okay. I always kick myself. And most of the time, I don't publish it because I don't feel like I've sort of done it justice. So, but yeah, Gran Sasso sort of speaks for herself. She's absolutely jaw dropping, especially from the view that they do on the workshop. It's pretty epic, to be fair.
Yeah, it's hard. Epic is the word actually. It's epic shots.
Hard not to get good footage from there or stills.
Excellent, and of course we'll certainly put links to. I mean, you guys are still doing workshops for next year, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt, when we first decided to do it, it was going to be. I don't think it was going to be really with three. We didn't really decide. It was more of a Matt. Obviously, Matt lives there, so Paul's full time, so it was more of their adventure. And then we had our second child, so. It wasn't the best time. It wasn't the best time for me to be going.
I kind of knew that. I knew you were expecting soon. Not you, of course, your wife. I knew that was happening because, like, we never saw you for a while on YouTube and obviously on social media with your images and and you're doing slightly work in the background as well. I remember you were saying in regards to your videos and things, you set up, etc. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I love about your work when it comes to videography is the audio. I mean, I'm a sucker for hearing things in woodlands, like broken twigs, people walking on it. Just the bird song and things like that, it's quite cool. And it's just the videography part I really do enjoy with your work. And the images just nicely just top it off, put the cherry on the cake. It's similar to what I said to Kim yesterday. There's only a few photographers that get to do that well, like Simon Baxter and yourself, etc. You tell the story well with regards to the scenery and the angles. Really, really are nice fitting angles. I mean, in regards to what are you trying to reveal about trees in general when you're actually taking pictures of trees, just going to the woodland aspect?
Yes. So when we moved back to Wiltshire, I sort of I needed that sort of feeling I get of that I used to get from being by the sea.
Yeah.
That self sort of, what's the word, like a self-soothing. I needed something, and we always used to go to Savernake when I was a kid. And I don't know if you know Savernake much, but I think it's privately owned, but it's open to the public.
Okay.
Well, a large amount of it open to the public, and it's the largest woods in the UK, I believe. Privately owned woods.
Yeah, that's the one you're pretty much. I mean, I was just saying to the guys before you came on, the places you go to in that area. I know Dorset, etc., around that area for Woodlands is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, see, it's so vast the woods I go to, and it's only a 5 minute drive from my house. So, and
Yeah,
because growing up here, I knew roughly the area from being a kid. So I just started going to the woods, and then I really feel like when you take pictures of the woods, when you go into the woods, there's like an aura about it that really again suits my personality. It can be very laid back and chilled, and that suits me as a person. So I don't, although shooting woods, everyone says it's the hardest genre, and we're always trying to simplify something that isn't simple.
yeah,
Um, it's not really about that for me. I tend to just approach it with an open mind, um, and I shoot things that I see as opposed to. I don't get me wrong. There are images there that I know I can do. I know will work in certain areas. I do go back to them, but I do tend to pick an area and just shoot what I see.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the I'm just basically trying to show a scene in the best possible. Give it. What's the word I'm trying to show the scene off the best I can
give it justice in a way.
to
Yeah,
give it justice, but not a generic, not like a generic justice, like how I see it.
yeah, yeah.
I don't ever worry about really what I know. It sounds strange because you put yourself out there on social media, don't you? But
Yeah.
I don't ever think about or do anything that I don't want to shoot, or I don't edit something in a way for clicks or for. I'm quite content and just happy just doing my own thing, and if you like it, you like it.
And
And
that's a theme. Yeah, that's a theme that we're kind of learning ourselves doing this cast. Is every photographer we have on, there's never one that just wants to take a picture for the public or take a picture for crowd pleasing. It's how
no,
people feel and they want to do it for themselves. And I think we guys
yeah,
agree with me that we never had anyone saying, "Oh, I tried to get a picture just to really get people to notice me," and all this kind of thing.
yeah,
It's mainly how you're feeling on the day. It
yeah,
reflects your mood as well. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I can gravitate to that as well. I'm like that too. I mean, woodland photography to me is a hard genre. It took me a while to
hmm,
watching videos like yourself and Simon Baxter got me into really thinking more about slowing it down, etc., and just taking my time. And then mainly just looking for patterns in the tree and looking for a story in the actual forest itself, as opposed to just going around and say, oh, there's a lovely big oak tree. Look at the size of that. That's great. Oh, it's nice kind of big light coming in. I'll just take a picture. It's
yeah,
more than that, isn't it? There's more
yeah.
to
Oh
it than
yeah.
that. There is more
It's
to it.
definitely. It's almost like that's yeah. That is kind of yeah. It's almost like you're trying to like how a storyteller would write a book or someone would write a news report. It's for me. It's I'm trying to create an imaginary world. I'm trying to create a story, whether that's light conditions or neither. You have to, I believe, if you to really bring emotion or show emotion in an image, you have to be emotionally there at the time. It certainly helps anyway, but it's not easy to do that because you're so honed in, you're so intimidated by you can be. Most people I take up on workshops are one to ones. I do lots of one to ones. I love doing one to ones,
Yeah,
and I learn so much by the people I take out as well because they struggle to see the scenes not because they're hard to see really. It's because they're so homed in. They're so sort of weighted down by the
yeah,
woods and the scene. Whereas if they just I try and just tell people to relax and just shoot something that you feel at that time, and
yeah.
don't force it. But it's not easy. Obviously, it takes. But my personality helps because I'm very laid back and
Yeah, I
what
was
will
saying that to the
what
guys
will be
actually.
will be. So yeah, I don't tend to force things if I can help it.
Yeah, your videos come across that way. You're just laid back when you get that kind of very sort of relaxed kind of feeling when we're watching your videos. Like
Mm.
Kim yesterday, Stevie said the same thing about Kim. She has got that kind of aura about herself as well. Guys, any of you guys got any questions to speak to Tom about? Anything you want to ask?
I'll let you go
Wait, same
first,
time.
lads.
Shall I go first? Why do I have to go
First, yeah.
first? I'm only joking. Okay, so you know the trees, you know that you go to certain woodlands. Do you know the history of the woodlands and the areas that you go to, and you know any stories, and is there anything that particularly attracts you to those particular woods?
I know the woods that I particularly go to. There are lots of history, and I will. To be fair, I will hold my hands up. History is not really. Although I am interested in it, when I'm in the woods, I'm really sort of honed in on the woods, and the particular woods that I go to. There's lots of sort of controversy. There's been lots of stories about landowners and fights about this and that, and I tend to sort of ignore all that. But yeah, I know that in terms of the trees, I know lots of history about the trees. I know that some of them are 400, 500, 600 years old. And I know which ones they are, and I go to them all the time. I know about the way that the ash trees. I know it's a national thing, but there are certain trees in there that are not going to be there for very long, which is quite sad. So yeah, I feel like a connection to the trees more so than the history of the woods. To be fair, but yeah, that is something that I need to get better at. That might take my photography and the feeling I get from, or the direction I go, if I was to know a bit more about history of the particular woods. Obviously, I know who owns the woods and the basic things that most people know.
The reason why you say that is like because for my hometown in England, the forestry that's there is one of the oldest forests in the UK, and it used to be linked with Sherwood Forest because it used to, before the motorway came.
Yeah.
And it was inspired people like J.K. like Lord of the Rings, the gentleman who wrote J.K. Tolkien, because he used to go there quite a lot. So a lot of his influences came from the woodlands, the ancient woodlands that was around.
Well, yeah, it is interesting. Little snippets of who was there and how it got shaped over the years by some of them, like the land by the walls and things. I do find something that interesting. Something that maybe I've grown to be more interested in things as I get a bit older and appreciate things a bit more, don't you?
Yes.
The same thing with because it's the same thing with Roslyn Glen as well. If you go to Roslyn, there's a set of trees and they're called them the witches' trees, and they look like witches.
Yeah.
They're based on they date back to Druid times.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And there's even a stone carving which has got the old Iron Age carvings taken back to Iron Age times, and you can see some of the symbols, and that whole forestry itself feels very, quite connected, quite spiritual because it's so old.
Yeah. That like I was saying earlier to Paul, that would definitely help me as a photographer if I was in that. You do when you feel that, don't you? It definitely helps your mood and what you might point your camera at, for sure. It's like you said, that story, that is something you could use to tell in the images. It's all about making that story, whatever that story, how you want to tell it is. That's what's so good about it. It's all personal, isn't it? And everyone's going to have, although it's the same history, everyone's going to have a different view on the story or different outcome. Anyway, I would say.
I think what's amazing with forestries like that, like Roslyn Glen, is it dates back even the church. I mean, there's an underground tunnel that goes to the church from the forestry with the Hawkthorne Castle. But all that area dates back to the Knight Templars, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So that's how Friday the 13th came, because they were executed,
It's amazing, really. That is something that I'm glad you asked that, actually, because that is something that I had thought about. do I start doing, I need to know a bit more about the woods that I shoot, the history, because that is something you can add to videos and things,
Yeah,
if
I
you're,
mean, what I've done,
you know,
Tom, as well is when I've just started, as yourself, I just started a YouTube channel and still in the early days, just now, 250 members. Um, but I've started to buy books on trees, and I'm all the way around. I'm trying to learn about trees.
mm,
So many woodland photographers know about what trees are looking at. I do. I've got a good basic knowledge of trees, but there's so much conifers, ash trees.
yeah,
You've got, it's endless, and the common trees are beech trees, as you know, and ash trees in the British, landscape.
yeah,
Pine as well, of course, you could say. And like you said, I remember you made a comment one time, I think it was something to do with plantations, and you're right.
hmm
I actually respect that because I think photographing trees in a plantation area, you don't get the feel of the history, as Glad says. You don't get
yeah,
the older trees and things. You don't see these gnarly oak trees, etc. And I think
yeah,
moving to like a more a wilder woodland, I try to use pockets of woodlands. I go actually off motorways, etc. I don't try to go to national parks or
yeah,
anything like that.
yeah,
But yeah, that advice you mentioned, I remember way back, I took that seriously, and I just kind of try to do that kind of thing. Steve,
yeah.
any questions at all?
Yeah, hi Tom. I've
Hi, Stephen, all right?
I can actually confess that before like this morning when I looked at your Instagram and your YouTube, I didn't know who you were because I don't have
You're
anything
sacked.
to do with
You're off.
landscape. Although I appreciate landscape photography, I appreciate every single kind of genre. So why social media and that works, even YouTube. That if you don't specifically have that genre and you follow it constantly, then people don't exist to you. If
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
until you make that connection with people that you actually appreciate them even more. And it's what we're trying to do, I think, and it's what Paul wants to do is actually connect to the photographer, because you can, although you do YouTube and that, we can actually ask the questions on your video.
yeah.
Oh,
But
comments. Yeah, you're right. But you're right.
the question I've got for you is, because at the moment, how do you challenge yourself?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Where did you get your questions from, Stevie? Have you got a book there?
What?
Where did you get your
No,
question? Last night with
it
Kim
comes
Grant,
from
you
my
were
old,
saying.
this grey hair doesn't come for nothing, you know.
Yeah, okay. Right. I need to look
How
at your
do
book collection.
I...
100 best questions for
I don't read.
vlogcasts.
I'm not
Yes.
educated.
Sorry, go
don't
on.
read.
I do digress, Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, crikey, how do I challenge myself? I think I think it's kind of a boring answer, really. I think I kind of do it without thinking. I think it's I'm a very competitive person, which is kind of weird because I'm very laid back. But when I was younger, I used to swim very competitively. I do miles and miles and do nationals, and I did it for like 15 years. And so I've always been very competitive, and I think that maybe that competitive that's sort of in me makes me want to do better. But I think the video side of things again is something that helps me push myself because I'm into the video and the stills. They sort of compete against each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Whether sometimes when I go out in the morning or go to a mount, when we went to Italy, I want to make a really good video and I need really good pictures in my head because the two go together. And if I'm not going to get very good images, then the video needs to represent true life. This is why. So for me, it's just something that I always want to strive. Not that I want to make every video better or every image better, because it's so subjective. Photography is so subjective, and what I think is better and what you think is better is probably completely different things. But I think by accepting the fact that I am an individual and I like what I like, I'm almost having this sort of battle with myself every time I go out, rather than having pressure from someone else. I don't get the pressure from other people looking and likes doesn't that doesn't strike me on. It's more of an internal competition with myself, and I've got certain areas, certain trees that I know there's an image there. I know there's an image there, and I haven't found them. I haven't found them yet. And I think that drives me on, because I think that'd be good with some snow around it or some mist around it, or it'd be good at a certain time of year when the light hits it a different way, and that drives me on to maybe go back, which is quite hard, isn't it? It's quite hard to go back to the same tree over and over again. When you get out of the car in the morning, you've allocated so much time, especially when you've got a young family or a family, and you think, I want to achieve this. It's very hard to not get bogged down with that. But I would say that was I never really thought of it. I never really thought about what keeps me going. But I think it's probably knowing I can do better in certain compositions, certain trees, and the fact that I do video as well. I would say pushes one pushes the other.
Yeah, well, we just put it down to your passion and the love for what you do.
And that as well.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's the source behind everybody, I think. And the best thing about your future is you get to share that with your kids and teach them. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. We always go on. I try to keep Sundays as like a family day, and I always say, should we go to the woods? And Mrs. pulls her face. I'm not going to the woods again. but no, the kids love it. They get the wet gear on, and So hopefully we'll pass down some of that love for the woods, because I think there's a lot more than just photography that people can get from the woods. So
it's appreciation as well, isn't it? Because passing down appreciation of nature towards kids is quite vital, I think.
Yeah, especially these days. Getting the iPad out of my 5-year-old's hands is quite hard sometimes. So any opportunity I can get to bring her back down to earth is we tend to grab it, because like you said, I think it's important that we appreciate what's around us, not just the bricks and mortar. You got to appreciate where it all started. Yeah, definitely.
What's your favourite season as well, when you're taking pictures of the woods?
I just want to put it out there, I'm not scared of summer. I'm not scared of the greens. I do embrace the greens, but it's not my favourite. I would say an early autumn. I do struggle sometimes in full autumn, if I'm honest, because you go from one green to full on colour, which is a real complex. It makes scenes that are more simple very complex with colour. And that's not really my type of photography. I'm not a colourful, loud person, so I do struggle shooting autumn in full swing sometimes. And then before you know it, it's gone. With the wind blowing the leaves off and everyone's dead. And very bare. So I think that sweet spot between where things are slowly starting to turn and there's just little hints of colour is my favourite time of the year. And then the clocks haven't gone back, so sunrises are still quite early, so I can get out, and if I don't want to speak to anyone, I don't
have to. I mean, some of your videos, when you mentioned yourself as trying to balance things up, you're doing your videos, you've got your family, you've got a young family, and doing your photographs as well, and also you do a lot of promotional work for Case. You're ambassador for Case filters as well, aren't you?
I was more so. I was more so, than I am now. Things have changed a little bit. I've sort of took a step back from doing so much promotion.
Okay.
But I wouldn't ever say a bad thing about Case. I think they're the best filters for me.
Use them, anyway. I started off with Freewell. Freewell was exactly the same as Case. They're magnetic filters. You know what that is, guys, don't you? Magnetic filters. So you're not screwing them on. You're not, fingers and thumbs and dropping things, etc. It's one of the best inventions I've seen for filters for a long time, for pretty much any photography accessories. But the Case, I mean the new ones now, they're all color coded, etc.
Yeah.
brilliant. It's so easy to pick them up when you're trying to struggle for an ND or like a polarizer, etc. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I do is where when I first started doing woodlands is I used to keep a polarizer on my lens at all times because I felt like you're using it pretty much quite a lot of times. Do you do that yourself, or do you just like mainly just pick it up when you need to pick
Um,
it up?
if I'm being brutally honest, I tend to. I'm a bit faddy sometimes. I go through like again, it all boils down to what sort of mood I'm in. I do use filters quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
I do use the polarizer, probably the main one I use. But I do find myself backing off the polarizer a bit more now.
okay,
Don't
okay,
really know
interesting.
why. Again, it's probably just a phase that I'm going through. I like sometimes some images I find that the glare, a little bit of glare, not too
Yeah,
much, not too much where it's distracting, but a little bit of glare just helps add a bit of depth. I think sometimes, especially these, I think the polarizers have got stronger. Um,
yeah, yeah. And of
and,
course,
and
if it's raining as well, you don't
yeah,
need a polarizer.
it
Also,
depends, doesn't
well,
it? Yeah, it
yeah,
depends
that
what the
helps.
conditions are like.
Yeah,
So I do use a polarizer. I have been sent mist filters before, and I quite enjoy using them.
yeah. I've not
They,
actually used these before, Tom, because I thought like, I mean, one of my things I thought myself is all the tools you've got at your disposal in CC, Lightroom, and Adobe Photoshop. You can use kind of the dehaze and etc. And you
yeah,
drag your radial filter a little bit. Although I've tried it a couple of times, and I was kind of thinking myself, it's all right, it's not natural, and sometimes you can see it's not natural with some people.
mm,
Sometimes you see someone doing it, and you can tell straight away that they've created the
yeah,
conditions themselves. Where do you stand on that? I mean, do you like me? I like to. It's very hard to get a misty morning sometimes, isn't it? But you obviously you have to get the right. You've got to be in it to win it. You've got to get up early, etc. Especially in the
yeah.
summertime. But yeah, where do you stand on that? Do you all right, manipulation is okay, but of course, but do you actually just go to the point where you say, yeah, I was going to try to, it looks a bit ethereal that looking shots, but I want to maybe just emphasize on the mist. So you kind of put a bit more like with a dehaze, which is fine.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that, regards to dehaze tools and so forth?
Um, Post processing for me is just it, it goes and so it's such a process from start to finish, and I enjoy the post processing just as much as I do. I don't. I don't. That's a lie. I don't. I enjoy them for what it is. It's a completely separate stage in the process,
Yeah,
and I do believe that it can be just as creative, if not more, these days.
yeah,
But my main focus is that when I'm there at the time, I take an image that I feel like represents how I feel at the time, as opposed to it's not just about shooting exactly what I see.
yeah, yeah,
Because I obviously when you're shooting more of a complex scene or any type of scene, naturally you see things in front of you that they tend to have more contrast, that they tend to be sharper, and you can't distinguish. You don't have sharpness front to back
yeah, yeah,
from the naked eye. So they're the only real sort of, not rules, but things I tend to stick to. Is I tried to create depth in a shot, and when I'm there, if there isn't the depth that I want from an image, I will say manipulate. I will edit the image and enhance certain things sometimes. But I think nowadays, when you started to where you are now, you tend to sort of just become more subtle and more delicate, don't you?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a personal growth, and that'll never change. I'll always be growing. And sometimes I might feel like I want to push something more. Sometimes I feel like no, actually, it's nice how it was.
yeah.
Um, so I believe that people can just do whatever they want. To be fair,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, there's different types of post processing techniques, and sometimes I back off. I'll walk away from the computer grab myself a cup of coffee and just talk to my wife and for a
Yeah.
couple of minutes, and then come back again, look at it, and I'll think I've probably much a wee bit too excited with that image, so I've kind of
Yeah.
dialed back the exposure, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you look for in a shot? I mean, you're actually on the woodlands. I mean, we all have different things we look for when we're taking a shot in any genre, but what do you look for? What's the ingredients creates a great picture for you?
For me, it's depth is a big one. Um, trying to My main goal is to try and turn the 3D view that I'm looking at, that's now 2D, back into 3D.
Yeah,
Trying to create that that field of view that I'm seeing is probably my main objective. And in terms of composition or light, it's normally I'm reacting to light as opposed to forcing a composition, because
yeah, that's a good point.
there's compositions everywhere, but very rarely do they work where you are at that time. It's more so, for me anyway, it's more so how the light reacts with the composition, and does it react well.
Yeah,
Do I need to move left or right, depending on how the light hits certain ways? But kind of like what I said earlier, like, I know there's certain shots, obviously, that compositionally I know that they work, whether rightly or wrongly, whether I'm holding on to
yeah,
what I think might happen there, I don't really know. But I tend to shoot for light, and when I find something that I like the look of, I'm trying to create depth. Separating is very important to me.
yeah.
I really try to create separation and create some sort of distance between elements that I feel are important to the image. But at the same time, I have to accept that you're shooting in a wild woodland, and that's not going to happen all the time.
No,
Very
no.
very rarely.
Yeah, I can vouch for that too. Yeah,
Yeah, as you
it doesn't
obviously
go the way
know.
according to it's meant to be.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's compromises with every image that you take.
yeah,
Even when you go to the Dolomites, it's right in front of you, and all you got to do is stand there. But there's always compromises. You know, the clouds are not right, or this is not right, or someone stood in your way, or
yeah,
so yeah. I find the woods that's the hardest. I do believe that is the hardest genre, like you said earlier, because there's so many distractions, isn't there?
Oh yeah, especially you know yourself when we try ourselves not to break twigs and stand on bracken or fern, etc. But we still try to make sure we get that picture, and then you know you're constantly moving, you're constantly staring at it for ages, and then all of a sudden you kind of just doesn't work and you walk away. Then you may
Yeah,
just walk past it with your camera again on the same route, and you go, you know what, that's different because there's a bit of different light. And you mentioned about light, it is that it's the light that brings the composition alive, and
yeah,
you know a composition is a good composition, but it's not. It doesn't do anything about depth or light or a kind of
yeah,
different dimension to it, as you mentioned. So I want to go to the point where I've been interested watching your podcasts, etc. Listening to podcasts rather, and landscape photography podcast. Now, it's
yeah,
only fair we advertise you since you've come on to us. Um, Guys, this is a podcast that mainly it's hosted by three photographers, of course, Tom Peters, Paul Thomson, and Matt Bishop, and they pretty much they do a lot of work together in regards to workshops, etc. But it's not so much a kind of podcast, I feel, where it's very formal. It seems very funny, relaxed. There's a bit of comic in it as well, I've noticed.
yeah,
So it is
yeah.
really good, you know. Only
We
comic
will.
value we get is Stevie doing a dance at the end of this. If he does it or not, I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe we'll find out.
A donation, you know. But yeah, that's the kind of that's what you get to come across for your podcast, and it's so engaging. But you know, in the whole kind of world wide web, it's so hard to get out there. With regards to yourself and doing these podcasts, is this something that you guys or yourself is looking to do more of in the future, or do anything else like maybe do more of a vlogcast like this, but with Paul Thomson and Matt Bishop? What is it you're looking to do in the future?
Yeah, I must admit the podcast is something that the three of us. It's probably my highlight when we used to do the podcast.
Yeah,
we do
that's
the
quite
podcast
good.
regularly.
Yeah.
Something that I really enjoy doing, and I them two do it. It's mainly Matt works the Vatican as a theatrical nurse, so he works very long shifts,
Yeah.
and obviously he's an hour ahead. He lives in Rome, and myself and Paul, we have families and kids in bed, so it's not so much of a problem for us. But the schedule hasn't worked very well the last few months.
Yeah.
They've been doing workshops. Matt's shifts hasn't worked properly. So yeah, the plan was never to take a break. We love doing the podcasts.
Oh yeah,
we got so many guests that we would like to talk to, and
yeah,
just friends, or just have chats on topics. So yeah, it's something we will be bringing back.
yeah,
It's just finding the time.
yeah, yeah.
Where
Exactly, yeah. Of course, well, especially yourself, because you've got a young family, and obviously you've got a newborn, and obviously, not newborn now, but still a very young family, and that takes a lot of time up. And I've just noticed, so I've started doing this with these guys. It's quite this Clickcast. It was a side project, and I've started getting more into it now, and I'm doing my own channel as well. And I'm just kind of starting off, and I'm thinking I'm doing too much at one time, but I'm starting. It works, and we're going to try to maybe, Glads and Steve will be hosting, not just me, but I can see how hard it could be for you guys. With all the stuff you do, and of course you've got Paul, who's a full-time photographer yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy, and I do appreciate that now. As doing this, I can see how tough it is for YouTubers, etc. It's not easy.
No.
What next for yourself? What was it you're looking to do next?
My sort of long-term goal was to transition more into full-time.
Yeah,
I sort
definitely.
of drop days here and there, and I take a usual holidays up, and work are really good. They sort of accommodate me as much as they can. So yeah, workshops is where I see me moving forward more so, not regular. The one-to-ones basis, I would say.
Yeah.
We have got plans, myself and Paul, and I know they've started doing Tuscany workshops, so I think I'll probably get involved in the Tuscany ones because there's trees.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I started doing on kind of on a smaller scale than you guys. I've had about 4 people so far, and I've enjoyed it. It's really good. But one-to-one, I think the whole thing of booking people for hotels, etc., it's a bit more depth than that what you guys do. I just do
Yeah,
it. But yeah, it's tough in it as well doing that.
it is, and maybe mentorships. I feel like I want to do as much as I can. I want to work more closely with people,
Yeah.
and I think maybe mentorships is something that I've been looking at doing potentially.
Okay.
Like online, like a follow-ups, and we'd maybe do like a 6-month or a yearly thing to see. So yeah, one-to-ones and mentorships is probably something that I'm going to be,
Great.
that we'll be doing, moving forward.
And you actually putting yourself out there in regards to getting people inquiring about workshops just now, or?
Yeah, I've done one a week, 3 on the bounce now, and then I had a couple of weeks off, and then I've done another couple. The one-to-ones, they do come in quite regularly. To be fair, and I do think that's down to being consistent on YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest audience. Although it's not massive, it's
Oh yeah,
it's enough. Yeah, I do. If I do a weekly video, they do trickle in.
Yeah.
And that side as well, I do lots of work with OPG Outdoor Photography Guide in the States. We do a weekly critique with Matt and Paul, and then I do tutorials for them. So that's where I haven't missed. I've missed the last 3 weeks on YouTube, and it's down to that. I've done a video, and then I've done 2 workshops, so I haven't been able to get and do a video for YouTube.
Yeah, I did like the critiques. I mean, you did feature one of my images on. I was like, this is going to be cropped. This is going to be cropped. It's like I was just waiting for Paul's magic smokes to come out and crop it a little bit. But yeah, I was quite surprised how it went well. So I was
Yeah,
really
well,
appreciated the comments.
they're good. We work well as a three because
Yeah,
Matt's very to the point and lets you know how it is, and I'm more laid back, and Paul's somewhere in the middle. So the three of us two tend to get
yeah,
there in the end, and I think people can relate to it a bit more if there's three different personalities.
yeah, yeah.
But
That's like the
yeah.
two guys I got there. Sorry, guys. No, you're right. There is that chemistry, and I think it works well for you guys. And yeah, I mean, what you guys watching this tonight? When I put out on Sunday at 6 o'clock. But please be sure to look up Landscape Photography Podcast. You can get that on. Is it on iTunes and Spotify?
Yeah, it's on iTunes, Spotify.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
it's
And of
yeah.
course, have a little download and listen. It was quite great when actually listening to that when you're actually finished work and you're just a bit tired and you just want to chill out. It's quite
Yeah.
a relaxing, kind of informal chat with three guys who pretty much on the same wavelength as you. That's what I like
Yeah.
about
Do you listen to podcasts? Are you a podcast? Do you listen to podcasts quite a lot?
it. Sorry, Di, the
Do you listen to
podcast.
podcasts quite a lot? Like, are you generally into podcasts as well? Do you?
Yeah, we're looking to do that. I think I've not put us through us out doing podcasts yet. I'll probably do an audio version of this, but
Yeah.
what we normally do is, of course, we normally put images up doing the obviously during the actual interview. But in this case, what we
Yeah.
do, because you get a better picture when you actually edit and put the images up over while we're talking, as
Yeah.
opposed to showing up in screen sharing.
Yeah.
So we're going to mainly do that. But if we're doing a sort of podcast, what we'd probably be aiming to do is being more of like getting someone on, just talking mainly just about photography, but not really sharing images or anything graphic or
Yeah.
anything. Because you can't do a podcast with saying, well, this image we have just up now.
No.
If you can see it,
No.
but I can see it, but you can't. But yeah, we'll probably go down that line if these guys are interested. Of course, I've not asked them properly yet, but yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen
Yeah, they're
to
good, aren't they? They are good. I mean,
they're brilliant.
Yeah, I
yeah.
love podcasts. I listen to all kinds of
Especially,
different podcasts as well, not just photography. It just
Even when you're
especially
driving, Tom, aren't you?
YouTube.
Because your videos,
Yeah.
when your videos are actually shown, there's a couple of episodes I've watched, and you've got a podcast playing.
Oh yeah.
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 Can
Yeah, I
you
listen.
imagine when
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, I
that?
do. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
all about the sounds, see.
Sorry?
It's all about the sounds, trying to
I like
keep the
that. Yeah,
images
it's
of
quite
different
cool. It's
sounds.
just
Yeah.
a relaxing drive and just a podcast in the background, park your car up, with the woodlands on the left or right over. It's good. Guys, any questions before we just start to wind up?
I'll go this time, Glads.
That's okay.
This is actually for the two of yous because the both of yous are landscape photographers, but there's manufacturers now, camera manufacturers actually putting ND filters into their cameras for software.
Oh yeah, you know. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Tom?
Oh, wow. I don't really know much about them, to be fair. I'm not really that. Although I enjoy using my gear, I not now that I've got it, I don't really follow it so much. So the ND filter, like you mean like a Fuji? They have like the overlays. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
I think you've got Fuji and Olympus.
Yeah.
The two that I know that do it. It's not about gear. It's more like there's got to be more and more software put into cameras.
Yeah.
And it's more, do you think it would help you? Do you think it would, it's more that for used to point of view.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it wouldn't really appeal to me because I tend when I see something, I tend to shoot for the post processing a lot of the time as well. I know I kind of know how I can enhance something, or dodge and burn something, or to create that depth I want. So I wouldn't tend to use things like that. Same reason I don't really use a huge amount of filters so much in the woods.
Same.
Is because
sorry, Tom. Do you think that would be more to help with the beginners, if you like?
I think that it's the way that the mass is going, and I think it will appeal to the masses as opposed to someone who But at the same time, it's kind of like we've talked about with people, people that are in the industry is the fact that everyone is sort of swamped and it's saturated and
Yeah.
which yes it is as such, but at the same time, if people have a photography and it's more accessible, you never know. They're more likely to go on, and there'll be more people like us that take it more seriously. So there's more clients for workshops. So although I don't really see it as a threatening thing or
Yeah, I know.
something that I'm, or again something I'm going to be using, I just see it as more eyeballs on photography, and that's fine with me. But it's not something that I would really look into. No.
I just thought I'd throw the spanner in the works there because it's usually AI or something that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I try and find something different to talk about.
Yeah. It's a good question.
Filters built into the cameras, I thought we'd actually do for you two guys. Yeah.
It's a good question because the people that I take, not so much on workshops, but like my partner and friends and family, they have no idea how the iPhone or something or what takes an image. They don't realise that it's all AI. Yes, they're taking the picture, but the exposure and everything, it's all done for you. And it's that side of it's kind of like not talked about, is it?
No.
It's just taken for granted. Yeah.
It has to be spoken about more.
Yeah. When you tell someone, I know you took the picture, but do you know how the cameras took it? No one ever had an idea.
Yeah.
I think they think that the shutter comes down and that's it. It's done.
Yeah. I mean, myself, I think I echo what you said there, Tom. As well. I don't think it'll be something I'll be interested in. I'm still using a DLSR D850. But it's got 45 megapixels, and it's all I need just now.
Yeah.
So I can print up to A1 size, etc., and just get a nice depth to the image, etc. But I don't kind of go with this whole kind of. I mean, I want to get a mirrorless camera soon. Yeah, I will be going to mirrorless because it's going that way. That's why we're kind of absolute photography's evolving.
Yeah.
F lenses are probably they're going cheap now, very cheap on eBay and places like that. So but the regards to the filters that's actually connected to these cameras, it's kind of like it reminds me like when you first get a DLSR and you go into automatic sends, and you don't think you just don't you're not in control. The camera's in control. And it's similar to that. I think the camera's in control because you're actually telling the camera to do something and it just does it. So you can't you can't spin anything or.
I do think it could be useful. If I know like Paul is always a big Fuji advocate and.
Yeah.
And the greens are always really good, and the warmer tones are really good. So if you could overlay like an old film filter over the top to help you visualize whether something works or not, I can see that being a benefit. And not that I shoot much black and white, but I do overlay. Sometimes I turn the camera into monochrome just to see if something stands out. I have done that before in the past. So I think I have used it. It's just not something that I really lean on. As such. Yeah.
And that's because it kind of a photographer is like it's like honestly it's like being on a bike. You never forget manual settings, and you want to basically go through the f-stops yourself, go through all the settings. You don't need to go for any like singing and dancing features, etc. I never used a mirrorless camera, so I couldn't really talk too much on that, Steve, to be fair. Although saying that, I'll definitely go to mirrorless at some point.
Yeah, I must admit, I took a bloke out last weekend, and he had a 750, and I must admit, I was really shocked about the difference between the EVF and the OVF viewfinder. How I don't know whether I can go back anymore because you get that with the Sony mirrorless, any mirrorless, you get that instant feedback in your viewfinder or your LCD, or however you want to do it. So as a beginner, I'd find them a lot less daunting to learn the basics because you're getting instant visual feedback from what you're doing. But
I think the thing I like about my Fuji mirrorless camera is that I remember when I had to shoot and film, the way that all the knobs are and everything is very similar to a film, so it was easy to like pick it up and shoot with film.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
very quickly compared to a DSLR.
yeah, they're very tactile, aren't they, Fuji's?
Yeah. I've got this camera here I'm going to be using next weekend. It's a film one. It's
oh wow, yeah.
The A1 Nikon, and it's got a little battery grip, on it. It's something you don't see in film cameras much, is it? The battery grip.
No.
So yeah, I'm going to be using this bad boy at the weekend and getting like a spool. I don't think I'll probably do the processing part. I'll probably just send it into someone to actually process it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like the point when you see photographers using old cameras as well on YouTube, and because you're learning something. It's more of a skill, it's a craft, isn't it? When you're using different cameras, and that's why I appreciate guys like yourself as well, as Thomas Heaton, etc. There's a nice variation of people on YouTube you can go to if you want kind of inspiration in the different genres of photography, and also, of course, using different camera settings, etc. So, in this day and age, I think photography now is something that can be self-taught. About 25 years ago, not the case when you're using a film camera as much.
No, definitely not. No.
So much things you have to use by the chemicals and understand all that kind of thing. But yeah, I think now where people are gifted who want to learn photography, and I think that's where it comes down to photography dying a little bit. I think wedding photographers are going to be okay. I think portrait photographers are going to be okay in the long run. But when it comes to landscape like us, I don't think AI is going to kill it completely. No, I think all these people, the myths that people think AI is going to take over, your sales, etc. But the point is, we as a photographer, to make a living anyway in a landscape photographer is hard, really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I do. I do agree with you. I do think that AI will have an impact, but I still think my experience, when in workshops and doing things like this, talking to people that do it professionally, is people enjoy the social, the tactile feel that you get, and the experience you get from being there with someone that knows what they're doing. And people get bored. People get bored of pressing buttons on computers and making something that doesn't really. Yes, it's creative. It has its own creative outlet, but it's not. For me, it doesn't have the same. It's not the same feeling that you get from taking something and creating something from a real life scene. But either way, I'm still going to be taking pictures anyway. So it is what it is, and I think the people that are in it for the right reasons, for certain reasons, will still be there, and it'll end up going its own way, I think, hopefully.
I think it's going to be interesting how it's going to pan out in the next 25 years or so, photography.
Yeah.
So guys, it's been really great actually doing this video tonight, and I just want to say thank you for Tom to agree to come on to Clickcast. And Tom has got, thank you. And Tom has got like a lot of he does a lot of media work himself and YouTube, etc. Especially the landscape photography channel. As I say, be sure to look at that. It's quite good. Also, of course,
I promise we'll put more out, more Vlogcast.
Oh yeah. You heard it from the man himself. He's going to put more out. So there we go. We'll keep into that. Tom, one of the questions we always ask guests, of course, who come on to the show, would you come back again for a chat?
Definitely, yeah.
And even just to join the panel, just while we interview other people, and or even just to have a little kind of just chewing the fat, as it were, as we say.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Guys, Glads, Stevie, you have any questions before we go?
Feels like last week's.
It doesn't it? Everything's so fine on Zoom, like when you say, right, okay, bye, any question, and you just end it and everyone goes.
I will say one thing, Tom. I would say describing your Instagram page, I would say it's very atmospheric.
Yeah.
It comes across when you're looking at it.
I'm very lucky where I live, actually. I live in a valley. So more so this time of year, but we do tend to get a lot of mist and cloud inversions. And the woods is not at the bottom of the valley, but it's right down at the end. So I'm very spoiled. We do get a lot of mist and fog, but especially this time of year, not so much now because the temperature's a bit more even.
Mhm.
But where sort of we go from summer into autumn, where the temperature rises quite quickly, we get lots of fog and mist.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I think the most atmospheric photo was the one. I think it's probably in Italy. I think it could be because I'm wrong, but it was a house at the bottom, what looked like a valley, and all you could see was mist surrounding it, but the hill, the wee cottage or
that was in Italy, I think.
was smack in the middle.
Yeah.
And surrounded by, you could see the mist coming down. It looked like it was getting ready to envelop it.
Yeah, that was when we went to Abruzzo in Italy with Matt and Paul. That was in a what do they call that? I can't remember what they call that now. To be fair, it's like a big plateau with the mountains all around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weather was really coming in and out, and you couldn't see your hand and went your face, and then it was clear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we was kids and sweet shops that morning. Yeah, that was actually quite fast paced for landscape photography. To be fair, yeah, that was not what I was used to.
Yeah,
the video was good as well.
It was very bonny.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, it was again, it was quite hard not to find something interesting to shoot because it was just kicking off all around, in all directions. It was something. The weather sort of made that image. To be fair, yeah, and the light hitting the clouds.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I should say to you guys as well, which you've probably, you guys have been doing your research the last couple of days, I believe, as well. But have a look at Tom's channel and just follow it, especially when he's in Italy with Matt Bishop, etc., and doing the workshops. It's really quite fascinating.
Thank you very much. One thing I did want to say actually before we go.
Sure, of course.
What do you think, honestly, of the silent videos? If I don't know if any of them have watched the silent videos I've done, but I get really good feedback, but the odd.
Oh yeah.
The odd comment.
Right. Actually,
how do you find them?
I actually thought it was interesting. One of the things, I said to you at the beginning of the program today, is that I liked the audio you put into your channel. So the sounds of the nature, so walking on. The woodland floor when you hear the ground, like twigs snapping, etc., and all that kind of thing, and the bird song. That's what comes across very strongly in these silent videos. And so you can immerse yourself into that when you're watching it, the video.
Yeah.
You feel like you're kind of captured in that kind of moment where you're doing that, as opposed to someone doing narration and talking through the video. You feel like you're there. You feel like you're just you're being a camera buddy, you could say.
Yeah.
You're on the journey. I did like that as well, but I don't know if you guys seen his Tom's videos. He just started doing a couple of silent videos, and it's just mainly Tom just doing what he does, setting up his camera, etc. It's different and it's very atmospheric. I really did enjoy that. Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's
one person.
I like that. I suffer from tinnitus.
So okay,
I can't concentrate. So what I do is I listen to heavy metal music on my headphones.
That's a big difference from what we're talking about too.
So usually when I'm going to be taking my macro photographs, I'm listening to AC/DC or something in my head. So I didn't hear everything going about because all I hear constantly is just a whistle in my.
I see.
So that's
like,
what I do.
Is that just like when you're actually taking pictures? I mean, sometimes I have some music.
I have heavy metal on all the time when I'm working. I've got heavy metal on. I just
listen to see your pictures when you're listening to that kind of music, Stevie. It'll be
I'm a big heavy metal fan, but also listen to every type of music. I like every type of music there is. Classical. I listen to opera. I listen to whatever it is, just to silence the sound.
Guys,
How long have you had interest?
It's connected through my diabetes, so probably just the last 5 years, something like that.
So it's connected with diabetes.
It's happened really quick. So is the glasses. This has only happened in the last year. It's just one of the things.
Oh, because I have a little bit of tinnitus. I have it on and off.
Well, I'll get worse.
Oh.
Something to look forward to.
Unfortunately, there is no cure for tinnitus apart from having a hearing aid in. But my ears sweat that much that my ears fill up with water.
Well, I find really interesting.
It's really bad. Tom, this is supposed to be about my ears.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
think
we've got another
but
15 minutes out of guy because
the one thing that I wanted to actually say was is if people see the videos and see me with my eyes doing all the time, it's actually my pump. So this is my other passion,
Oh yeah,
which is my type 1 diabetes. And
Oh, right.
I'm always on this, which is why my eyes go down all the time, paying attention to it. Because the last thing you want is like beeps going off in the background because my blood went down too low or it's went too
yeah,
high, you know.
yeah. Of course,
Oh,
that's what you have to do. That's fine.
Can I ask one more question, actually? One more question
Oh yeah, go
is,
for it. Yeah,
okay, so
guys, I'm going to go home.
what inspires you the most, and what photo if you one photo that you've seen, which photo do you like the most if you've seen from any other photographers?
That's a good
cool.
question.
I think the biggest inspiration for me probably is, it's hard to pinpoint one particular image, but I love the way that Simon Booth, I'm assuming you know Simon Booth.
Yeah,
He's and like we kind of like what you mentioned earlier, Dad, about the history of and the knowledge of the woods, and he's such a big inspiration in terms of that because he knows everything.
yeah,
And his videos are more there's more facts in them. There's more knowledge in terms of the land. It's not just about the images, but some of the images he takes, some of the way the light interacts. He told me we took a shot of an overhanging tree in front of a waterfall, and the leaves were backlit. And
that's right. I remember that.
I don't know if it'll be on his Instagram. Yeah, that image was just mental, mind blowing. Yeah,
I'm on it now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's on there somewhere. Yeah, it's the sort of the warmer tones of the tree and the cool water behind and the way the light hits it. It's just incredible.
yeah.
So yeah, I would say Simon Booth's probably my biggest inspiration since moving back to the woods.
I actually really respect the guy. I think he started off very slow on YouTube, and all of a sudden he's went massive. When Thomas Heaton actually, obviously, he featured him on his channel, etc.
Yeah,
But I was watching him before then, and what I liked about him is because he's got this kind of same kind of philosophy as you and I, Tom, regards to Woodland photography, etc. He started doing that, but then he started to find little intimate scenes on the floor, regards to just the back of a leaf, looking at the veins in the back of it, etc. Yeah, he's amazing. Simon Baxter is another one, of course. I'll do
I could have mentioned lots. Yeah, but Simon Booth sort of really stuck out because I followed him such as early on.
I'm just looking at one of his videos. That's halfway. It actually just says difficult times on Mill, and it's his face. It just looks like he's crying.
I want to say that to him. Yeah, Simon Booth he's a really nice guy. There's a few, Alistair Ben as well. I do like his stuff.
Ben, yeah.
Alistair
is very very unique the way his photography is very sort of unique to him, isn't it?
Yeah, explains it well. Explains.
Yeah, he's a good talk. Yeah, he talks very well.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been great, and I've enjoyed it. I've got
one question, lads. It's been dating all night.
Not just
here.
What's above your head? How much alcohol have you got above your head?
Oh yeah.
How much alcohol have you got above
your
head?
I've got a bit of a confession.
Nice.
I've probably got about 50 or maybe 60 bottles, to be fair. Yeah. Depending if you ask my partner, it's 40. But whiskey's my sort of second passion. Yeah.
Bourbon.
But more so now, I do find myself going for bourbons more so now. I still have my favourite malts, but kind of like the photography, it depends on what mood I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm sure. Well, Tom's got a young family. We need to let him go and move on. Guys, it's been great, every one of you, and especially Tom. Thanks, Tom, for coming on.
No worries. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I hope to see your podcast soon. Well, hear your podcast soon, you know.
Yeah, we will. We'll get back on that, I'm sure. Yeah, definitely.
And is there any videos coming out this weekend?
No, I've switched to sort of Wednesdays.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah. That's right. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I just feel like I've got more time with work and things. I just feel like psychologically I've got more time when I've got the weekend free.
Yeah.
So yeah, next Wednesday it will be another silent one actually.
Oh, right, okay.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to try a slightly longer one to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we'll feature that, of course. We'll put this out on Sunday evening, guys, and well, we're talking to you in the future right now, or whatever, from the past to the future. I had to think about that one there. So yeah, Tom's video will be out is coming up on Wednesday, and be sure to look at it because these silent videos are really good in the case it just captures you in the moment. Guys, thank you, Tom. Thank you very much for coming on. It's really appreciated.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Nice to meet you, Glenn, Stephen. Nice to meet you.
Take care of yourself, and we'll hopefully see you again on the channel.
Lads, dance away.
Take care, guys.
Lads, dance away.
See you later. This is where it abruptly ends. Oh, there we go. He's doing his dance. See that?
He's doing it.
No music.
You got to see what I put up with him. You know, I've got to put up with
Pizza.
Yeah, it's terrible what you've got to put up with.
See you later, guys.
Cheers, Tom. Have a
Bye.
good night.
Cheers. Have a
Bye-bye.
good night. Bye.